Hello, welcome to The Honest Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. Welcome to a lovely midday stream on twitch.tv/honestwargamer. I'm joined by Liara, everyone. If everyone in the chat could just give Liara a big hello, that's great.
Hello.
Hello. Liara, I realised I haven't actually interviewed anyone in quite a while. So you're my first. I was thinking that this morning. I was like, I haven't interviewed someone in a while, and I can't tell you how happy I am to have you on the show. So thanks for being here.
Thank you very much. It's a lot of fun to be here.
Well, I'm not
looking forward to it.
Good. I'm not going to let you introduce yourself. I'm going to introduce you. Basically, well, that's what we'll do. We'll start out super simple. Liara is the. Let me get this right. The Swedish Age of Sigmar champion, or the current Age of Sigmar champion. Is that correct?
Exactly. That is correct.
Amazing, amazing. And you're also part of the Swedish AOS Six Nations team.
Yep, that's true.
Amazing. All right. So we've got lots to learn. You're also, I think, my favourite Daughters of Cain player in the world now. So
that was my goal the entire time, just to impress Rob. That's been my life mission playing AOS. I was like, oh, I've got to impress this guy.
I mean, you did it. That was pretty amazing. If you guys don't know what I'm referring to, when we did the coverage of the Sigmar Six Nations, so me, Mark, Matt, and Adam, obviously, Liara played on one of the stream games with her Daughters of Cain. She played probably one of the most aggro games of Daughters of Cain I've ever seen, which is pretty amazing, with some combat bow snakes. That's right.
Yeah, that's what they're for. I mean, they have melee attacks, right?
I mean, they do have melee attacks, but I'm not sure that's...
I charged them in, I think I did it like in every game that I played. I think I charged them in.
It was unbelievable. So it's really nice to have you here. And I want to ask you about Six Nations and getting into Age of Sigmar and all those other things. I'm just going to say a big shout out to everyone in the Twitch chat. So Canhammer, I see you, Darren. Big love to you, MJ, Glittervold, Matt Readiness. Hello, everyone. If you are listening to the podcast, please stay hydrated. If you're watching back on YouTube, leave some comments because this is going to be super fun. Snakes and hot takes. That's today's show. Is that right?
Yeah. I mean, why do you play Daughters of Cain if you don't want to go in melee? I mean, I don't care if you have bows or not. You can hit them with the bows. How are you going to get the blood if you just shoot people away?
I agree.
I mean, that's how you get the blood.
I haven't seen it, though, is the point. I haven't seen it. So that's what blew my mind. But before we get to that, because I want to take us on a journey.
Yeah.
Talk to me about when you started playing Age of Sigmar, or more importantly, when you started playing tabletop games.
Oh, that was a long time ago. I actually started out when I was a teenager. I think I was around 13, 14, something. Playing the old Warhammer Fantasy. I think it was 6th edition back then. Okay. I started with Wood Elves. So that was like me and my father. We went to there was like a local gaming club in the city where we grew up. And just saw these people having a lot of fun with all these miniatures on these big tables. So we kind of got into it. And I had a lot of fun playing Wood Elves.
What was it like? What was it that attracted you to the Wood Elves initially? Like,
I've always been like a big fan of elves and the magical forests and all those things. It's like, so I've always loved the Wood Elves in every kind of sense.
Do you have a favorite elf from fiction and or movies? One of those two?
Ooh, I mean, I'm not gonna go with Legolas.
You're not going
Even though
to?
that's like a big thing. No, but I would say I do love. I think her name's Arya or something like that from Aragon. She's really cool.
Oh, do you know what? I've never watched Aragon. I don't think I've ever watched it. Is it good?
The film is crap, but the books are. But in general, those elves are really cool. They're weird and of course isolationists, because they always are, the elves. But I mean, elves in general tend to be a lot of fun, and I also love like the space elves in 40K, the Eldar, because they have a lot of cool lore to them.
Yeah, okay. All right. Yeah, that makes sense. So then did you play lots of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, or like were you just did you take time off like most people do when they play younger and then
I did take time off, mainly because of moving and stuff like that. So I got back into Age of Sigmar later on when it started. I did play, I think, one tournament with Wood Elves, and I almost won it because I like stomped everyone except for the last match, which was the final, where I met vampire counts. And back then, the Wood Elves had like a specific rule. They didn't have their own battle tome or whatever you'd call it. They only had like a couple of pages in the rule book. And then they had a specific rule which said that the opponent got extra victory points for placing units in your deployment. And vampire counts could just summon tons of units into your deployment. So it ended up, he just filled my deployment with a bunch of like random zombies and stuff, and I couldn't win.
Oh no.
So it was like really stupid rules back then. But at the same time, I also had like one game against orcs or greenskin was where like I managed to slow them down and shoot, and then they got to like a tree line where I had. And the thing is, back then the Wood Elves could walk unhindered through the woods and shoot, whilst the orcs got like half their move. So I could retreat more than they could move forward and shoot them in the woods. So it ended up like he killed like maybe 5 of my models and I wiped his whole army. It's like so stupid rules back then. So I'm glad that Age of Sigmar has a lot more thought through rules.
Yeah, I mean, Warhammer Fantasy Battle was a wild time. Are you? Can I just thank a couple of people in the chat? Bobbin, thanks for he's donated a gift subscription to Liara for you specifically, Liara, for you and Sweden.
Yay!
Thanks to I Am Nars also for resubbing, and hello to Stokesy, who's a Hydra homie. One of the questions I was going to ask is, did you stay around for the end times, or did you kind of take a break?
I didn't. Yeah, no, I missed them.
Okay. Do you, because this is one of those interesting times, because I am, as you know, one of those curmudgeons who went through 8th into Age of Sigmar. Do those people annoy you? Because I feel like I'm annoying, and I feel like, those people when they're like, oh, you don't know how bad the end times were. Do you just kind of wish they'd shut up a little bit? Like, how do you feel?
I mean, the end times, I read about it and they were wild. But I think that in general, the main issue was that the shift over to Age of Sigmar was problematic because they didn't have a complete structured system in place, like rules-wise. The lore, I mean, was also very bare bones because it kind of felt like a little bit rushed, maybe, that they tried to get into it very quickly. But once they got like the General's Handbook on there and started to actually do some work into it, it actually turned out to be a really good game. And that was where I had the issue with a lot of the like old school folks who were like, no, can't play Age of Sigmar, it's bullshit, and so on. And they just kept saying no, even though the game was actually totally playable and actually more fun and better paced and easier to get into and stuff like that.
Okay, so where exactly did you re-enter, and what inspires you to re-enter that part?
2016, I believe.
Oh, 2016. Also for a while.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I think I was just like talking to some friends, and we kind of decided to get like the starter box for Age of Sigmar, the first one.
The Stormcast one with the corn.
Yeah, the Stormcast and corn one.
Okay, yeah.
So I got the corn army.
Oh dear.
So we played a little bit. A friend of mine, myself, and then I moved again. But that was actually a good thing because then I moved here to Malmö, where I'm living now, and found a massive community of people to play with. So I've been living here since 2017, I believe.
Okay.
2017 and 20. Yeah.
2017. Do you think I'll give you a minute. Thank you, by the way, to our first-time chatter, Steve. I stopped playing when they killed Warhammer, but then I remembered I couldn't give 2 hoots about lore and I was play the game, so came back. Good work. Also, Greg in the chat from Team Wales giving you some spice, saying that you said you were going to defeat Wales and then they capped you, but he says in good fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we defeated them in spirit.
I agree. If you do have some questions, I see Wolfen Studios got one. Leave them to the end, and I promise, we'll ask a bunch more questions. The question I wanted to ask you is, how much do you think having a big local community is good for you, like playing tournaments, playing games?
It's massive, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. It's really massive.
Do you have any like big stars in your local community? People who always organize everything, like, you know, people who do all the work and legwork, or is it like a mixture of people?
Yeah. I mean, we have Samuel, who was the coach for the Swedish team, Samuel Jansson. He's always been like a central person in the AOS community in Malmö, and he's been doing a lot of organizing and things like that. And then we have like a lot of people who kind of like help each other out, and we have very much a communal sense there. So I think we have a lot of people who are very interested, and we have competitive players and so on. So when someone is needed to step up, someone always does.
Okay.
It's kind of that thing. So I think we have a really good community in that sense, and we always have, you know, people introducing new people and so on too. So there's always someone there to turn to.
Okay. All right, cool. Okay, so talk to me about the competitive scene and the Swedish Championship. Like, how did what is the Swedish Championship? What let's start me there.
I'm so sorry, my voice is going up.
Don't worry, you're doing great.
So the Swedish Championship was the first time around last year.
Okay.
And it was set for JHB 2020, so AOS 2. It was kind of like a pilot project kind of thing, because of the whole, you know, pandemic situation and all that.
I remember.
So what happened was that we had to do our kind of qualifiers in every part of the country, like region wise. And since we didn't have our clubhouses or anything like that, we all had to play our games like at home. So that's pretty much where we ended up. So we had a few regions. That was like in the north. There was 2 of them in Stockholm, I believe, and then like 1 extra for Västerås, maybe Uppsala as well. And then we had like, yeah, of course, one for us here, and then 1 for the rest of the country. So we had like 2 people from each region qualify, the top 2, and then everyone went to Asylum Wargaming, which it's Jesper Melander. He's
been on the show before.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I know that. So he has a venue there near Stockholm, and so that's where we went to play the like finals, and that was like a typical 2-day 5-game tournament.
Okay.
What was special about this one was that we actually had 2 lists, so everyone got to bring 2 lists, and then you could choose between them for each game. What is everyone saying?
Don't worry. Are you worried about the chat? Ignore them. They're great. They're on your team. Yeah. Okay. Right. Most of them are pro you, so you don't stress. Okay.
That's a good thing, I suppose.
It's okay. It's a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. They're having a go at you though.
I mean, that's usual. That's fine. Yeah,
that's awesome.
As long as they're lovely to the guests, that's all that matters.
That's
right. Good. You're killing it, Liara. Don't worry about it. Okay. So, did you go to the first championship? The 2 list format is interesting. Talk to me about how you feel about 2 list format Warhammer.
It was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I didn't have a second list that was actually competitive because I don't have any competitive armors except for daughters.
Okay.
So
what do you have?
Really just. I sold most of the stuff that I had. That's the problem. So I do have Sylvanet and Cities. So I have a lot of Wanderers, like my old Wanderers. That was my starting army when I actually started to make an army. And then I have Sylvanet. You can see a bit of it back here, I suppose, like a L'Ariel or something. And then I have a little bit of like Stormcast, I suppose, or something like that. But nothing I really play with. And that's it at the moment. The daughters, of course.
Okay. All right. So are you like? Oh, I suppose maybe I'll talk about that later. About like armies that you might want to get into. Okay. So first one, but two-list format. Would you in the future? Was the second year two-list format or not?
The second year, as in this year?
Oh, is this the second year? That was the first year last year.
That was the first. Yeah, that was the first year.
First year last year. Okay, so that was the first one. Okay, do you think that they're going to continue on with the two-list format, and are you excited about that?
It's actually different, and I will be since we're still doing the regional thing. But there are also qualifiers from tournaments. So like top spots in the 2-day tournaments and so on will earn a spot in the finals.
Okay.
The fun part about that is I actually, like a couple of weeks, I think it was like 2 weeks before the finals, I played like one of the first AOS 3 tournaments in Sweden. And I won that tournament.
Congratulations. Good flex. We like a good flex on the show.
Getting me a spot into the next year's finals for the Swedish Championship before the first one was finished. So then when I won the Swedish Championship, I had to give that winning spot to the second player.
Oh, it's hard being successful. How do you cope? How do you cope? There's by the way, there's a lot of shouts in the chat for us wanting to see the trophy. So if there's a trophy available,
there is a trophy. It's actually down here.
Holy hell, that's a big trophy.
And so it's like it's up to here from the floor. I'll bring it out here.
What?
Unless you want me to bring it out now.
No. I mean, it's very big. We also don't want you to break it, so.
It's okay. I'm just breaking everything here, but so this is the trophy.
Wow.
He spared no expense.
Wow.
That was a lot of fun. Oh, here it's heavy.
We really don't get that in the UK. Like, maybe it's because we're cheap. I'm not sure, but most of our trophies are like, yeah.
Yeah, but I think it's because you don't have a lot of sense of pride in that country, do
you? Wow. Oh, okay. A lot of spice building up to worlds. Okay. I'm excited about
that. I mean, anyone who brings 60 pinks, I mean.
Wow. Listen, like, I'll have you know I was ahead of the game on that. So if you're insulting me, okay.
Anyway, yeah.
Anyway.
So for this year's the championship, we're actually switching it up a bit and going that you just have to pick a battle tome.
Okay.
So, like at the start of every match, you kind of have to build your army.
Okay.
And then play it.
What? So that's what the Swedish Championships is this time?
Yeah. So this time around, for the qualifiers and for the finals, you will build your army based on your battle tome.
Wait, every match?
For every match, yeah.
Oh my god, that's a disaster. That would take like.
But you only have like 15 minutes to do it.
Okay, so you pretty much go in with some preset ideas in your head, right?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay.
But you can at least, make some small tweaks and so on. I mean, nobody's going to bring like a shelf of minis for every match anyway, so you kind of have to have a few ways to build them.
Yeah. You've got so it's like the 2-list format, but just a lot more varied.
Yes, exactly. So it's really just that you can make adjustments for every game.
Whew. That's honestly, that's giving me anxiety. Like all over. Like I know there'll be people listening. There'll be people listening at home.
Looking at your stats and all the other, like, oh fuck, just throw it all out.
the stats team will just start like. I can already see now when I go back to the stats chat. They're just gonna be screaming at me like, "Shut it down, Rob." Chat. I'd love to know what you guys think. What do you like? You obviously already know this is happening. How do you feel about it? Do you think it's going to be good? Do you think it's going to like push people? Do you think it's going to be whether or not people don't read the chat, they'll distract you.
So what I'm thinking that I think it will be great because it's helping people grow as players, and that is the point.
Okay.
In my opinion, it's the point is getting people to grow as a player and to grow as a community, and you know, help each other out and learn and improve ourselves, and you know, have a good time and feel that we're getting somewhere.
Okay, yeah, that's great. That's great. And like,
that's what I think.
I guess it
Sorry.
pushes everyone, right?
It does, yeah, because it gets you to also step out a bit of your comfort zone in a way, because you don't always have your set list, and that, I mean, you can play it that way. I'll probably play a pretty similar list all the time because, hey, that works for me,
Yeah.
and that, because that was like throughout the championship when I played the Hagnar, it was like I pretty much won everything. So apparently, because I was very comfy with the list, and also it did what I needed it to, and it didn't have any glaring weaknesses. I think that was the main thing about it.
Yes, it's very compact and solid book. Okay, that's really exciting, and also like stress inducing, if I'm honest. What was it that made you pick up Daughters of Cain in the first place? Was it the competitiveness of them? When did you pick them up?
No, I actually picked them up early, or like I think it was like start of 2020.
Oh, okay.
No, was it 2019? No, 2020. Yeah.
Okay, so when they were kind of like, I mean, they were still doing well, but they hadn't had the Marathi update yet.
No, that was pre-Marathi. So I actually picked them up secondhand for cheap because someone had grown bored with them since they went out of flavor, kind of thing. They weren't flavor of the month anymore. Because that was like when Sinch was having fun and all that stuff. Sinch was on top, and yeah, I don't really know what happened, what the scene was like back then. A lot of like Archeon and Korn and what are cities? There were cities going on
during
as
that early
well.
time, yeah, it was definitely Zinch. Seraphon would like
But,
super massive,
yeah,
and like Zinch
yeah,
Archeon.
Seraphon and Sinch, yeah, Sinch Archeon and so on was very much in there. So I I just got them. First, I got Marathi because I thought she was a really cool model, and I just wanted to paint it and enjoy it. And I was thinking about playing it in some sort of mixed order setting and things like that, just for fun.
Okay.
But then I got an entire army, and I just started playing with it. I think my first tournament I went something like. I think that was a 6 game, so I think I maybe went 4-2 or 5-1 or something like that. 4-2 maybe.
Okay. So
in Copenhagen. Yeah.
So talk to me about the book wholesale, like strengths, weaknesses. Give me like, because you're good with this book. Like I've seen you play. You play solid Warhammer. Like, so I want to know. Like, talk to me about all of your feelings, because you play in a way with that book I've never seen. I've seen some different plays, and at the minute it feels like a bit of a mono build book, Marathi and the bow stakes, right? But that doesn't mean it has to be played the same way. And me and my co-host Adam, before we went to Six Nations, we kind of talked about the Marathi and bow stakes. Adam, not a fan of it. He thinks, and I said, I just don't think it's played very well. In fact, Alex Bruce at maybe War in the Heartlands or Bobo played it a lot better. He kind of screened with Marathi as opposed to kind of trying to alpha with Marathi. Felt like it was a lot better. But still, your play was then different to those two styles that we talked about before. So talk to me about how you feel the book plays, what strengths, weaknesses, what's going on.
So the weakness of it is that it's squishy as whole hell. But it can be counteracted with the Hagnar and the Cauldron. I think the main weakness is that you do have to rely a lot on Marathi, because everything costs very much. Like the points costs are very high for what you get. The bows are decent. I mean, they're not bad for their points. But once again, they're not sentinels, so
they aren't
exactly.
Sentinels,
no. So I wouldn't say that anything is like overpowered in it, except for Marathi being like really, really powerful. So it's a shame, because it means that you can't really build a solid list without Marathi and expect it to do too well. I know people make the 45 bow snake kind of thing and that stuff, but as soon as it hits a wall, it's going to crumble very quickly.
Have you got any examples of lists or armies that you feel it doesn't play too well into?
Mine. I met that one. I had a mirror against that one. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Yours. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Any others?
No, but in general, just things with a long threat range, for instance. It might struggle against, say, some Osiarchs with catapults and things like that. That it might have issues taking down or things with just very good saves and some mortal shrugs or healing and things like that. Because it can do kind of concentrated damage, but not enough since you only teleport like one unit and things like that. So if someone has good range against you, you will struggle many times, I think.
Okay.
I
guess
because there's no way of getting things back, and they just fall apart with the 5-up save.
Yeah, I guess like whenever you're talking about competitive Age of Sigmar, and I don't mean to reiterate the point, you can't avoid Sentinels like in the conversation.
Exactly. Yeah, and they do struggle against Sentinels.
Many do.
Yeah.
It's just the gunline order, right?
Yeah.
You've got Sentinels, then probably Marathi the Bow Snakes.
Yeah.
Seraphon are in there somewhere, and then right at the bottom there's a bunch of orcs in big yellows. Like, we'd really like to play. Can we play? No, you can't.
No.
It's a no for you. You're too short range. Try harder. But why do you play the bows in that aggressive combat style as well? Like, what is it that you think that brings in addition?
Well, the thing is, mainly, they aren't as squishy in my army, and they also have to do something. I mean, they do get 3 attacks each with Marathi in there. Just weight of dice, getting a few extra there, like in there, and also it helps to position them more offensively if you're gonna charge them in and things like that. I don't see a reason why they shouldn't be used like movement-wise as well, rather than just be an artillery piece. Because I'm not playing 40k, am I?
It's true. It's true. Do you like with like such a heavy shooting army? And I know again, Sentinels are going to ignore this.
Yeah.
But going to ignore this? So I'm going to try and stop saying "gonna" because it's an English Nottinghamshire inflection, which sounds terrible.
That's fine.
No, it's not. Do you think what do you think? I've talked about it a lot on the show, but do you think terrain rules would help, or do you think it doesn't really matter?
No, terrain rules are good.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing. Definitely. And like what we've started doing more here in Sweden now, we've kind of like organized all the TOs to kind of have a system. So we do try to put in some garrisons and some impassables and extra wildwoods and so to make sure that we always have that kind of dynamic on the terrain, like on the boards with the trains.
Do you think that changes up how you play with your army?
Yeah, I mean, putting them in a garrison is pretty nice. It's not bad.
Oh yeah, that is good.
I haven't been like very much affected by it. It's the only thing is, of course, that the bow snakes have an issue shooting through wildwoods. That would it. But in general, no, not that big though. I mean, it's there. You have to think about it, and in certain circumstances, getting that garrison is very good. But apart from that, I think my list is very flexible in that sense that it can handle many different situations, and it's just to make the most of it, I think.
Yeah, okay. There's a lot of conversation in the chat from people saying that we need clear definitions on terrain. And then Eric is obviously saying that we already have that in Sweden.
So yeah.
And we have that also in England as well. So obviously I went on Vince's show to talk about terrain initially, and then Cabbage is taking it on. And then as a community, I think we're very close, and I expect to see some sort of terrain rules from the Worlds team as well for the AOS Worlds event.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Very cool. So then I expect to see that, maybe even with some terrain maps, which means as a community we're going to start to really do that, which is going to be really good. Yeah, so that's what I was going to ask next, Dave. So for the Swedish World Championships, did that differ between then and when you went to Worlds? Sorry, not Worlds, Six Nations? Your list?
You mean my list?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, since the Swedish Championship was AOS 2, I had 20 bow snakes.
Oh, okay.
And I had the invocation, Heart of Fury. That gave me -1 damage on everything. So when I went up against like Thunder Lizard, that was a lot of fun.
That's great. Yeah.
when I think it was like that was the last game I played. He shot a Bastiladon into my bow snakes and did 1 damage.
Nice.
And then he gave up on shooting them.
So how did you think? Talk to me before we get into Six Nations. Actually, what do you think of AOS 3 wholesale as a game?
Definitely better.
Okay.
There are still some kinks to it, but they're starting to work themselves out a bit, like the horrors and so on. But I do think in general it does lead to a better game and more dynamic game, definitely.
Do you have any favorite parts?
Well, the smaller table size is actually a good thing, in my opinion.
Okay.
I like it.
Because they're closer to the bows.
Exactly. There's nowhere to hide. No, but in general, just makes movement more relevant and more impactful in that sense. Kind of like and also melee is more there. It doesn't feel like you have to position yourself in a way that a unit is out of the game for the rest of the match if it's just too far away. It doesn't happen quite as much.
Okay. Do you?
And also, I would also say the scoring system, like the way you kind of gradually score now, a lot more than before, where it was very much take everything right away and then just hold it. Now it's a bit more dynamic in that sense, and make sure that you actually have to play all the 5 rounds to actually get somewhere like at the end, because it can really swing differently because you don't have the huge margins that you used to have. I'd say. So that is a big thing in my opinion.
I think the games feel a lot closer.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would say that. I also feel, I don't know what your thoughts are, do you feel battle tactics as something that could maybe be looked at? Because
definitely, yeah. I mean, this is feels like a first iteration of things, so they do need to be hammered out and kind of like thought through a bit more. There's still a lot of things that are like experimental, I think.
I know, I agree with you. I do. I think the battle tactics are awesome. I just think that they like. There's just a way of making it all better. But for me personally, I'm super happy. I've said this on the show. What are your feelings on grand strategies? I'm interested in that.
I wish they were more, to be honest.
Okay, in what way?
No, I just wish they were either more interactive or more limiting, in a way.
Okay.
I wish you had to play more for them.
I agree. I kind of feel like at the minute there's no point in them being there.
No, it's really just, oh, did you wipe your opponent? Okay, then you get your extra 3 points.
Okay. Talk to me.
Kind of like
do you a couple of final bits on the structure of the game? How do you feel about that turn 3 removing an objective now? Do you think that's impacted the game well or not well? What do you think?
In some sense, yes, but I do think it's a good thing, but some scenarios aren't built for it. And I think that's why we see like nobody playing marking territory, for instance, because they forgot about that part there.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So when Age of Sigmar 3 came out, obviously you would have had to change your list. How do you feel Age of Sigmar 3 affected Daughters of Cain specifically and your list? And what? How did you start to experiment with it?
Well, the thing was, the list actually already changed a lot with the new book. So, because the book came just at the end of AOS 2. So I don't think the step was very large from there. It was really just like, okay, now I have to get rid of a few things. And mainly, of course, the big change that actually came rules-wise was the Endless, and more specifically the Invocation, because it went from reducing damage for everything to just reducing damage in melee. So that was like the only thing that I felt was a shame, because I liked having reduced damage against shooting. Apart from that, it was really just about knowing which things to try to keep, because everything went up a lot in points. So you just had to shave off everything that wasn't 100% necessary. It's a shame, because it means that you have no wiggle room, no room to try different things and combos. You just have to be super efficient with your points now. So that's like the downside to AOS 3 is that everything costs more points.
Do you feel that makes everything more valuable on the tabletop, or do you feel like you just struggle to get everything in the list that you want? Like,
yeah, no, you definitely struggle to get things into the list.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. So you have to kind of like pick and choose. You can't have all the things you want. You have to go for like, okay, what do I need the most? And you have to just go with that and make do with what you get.
Okay. Yeah. I agree. I think it's very telling on some of the units, and it can be very hard. I think. Well, we'll see. Going into Iron Jaws, I'm not sure because everyone's got to spend some points on screens now, right?
Yeah.
Thank you to Gitly for resubscribing. Big love to you. Okay, so the change up. I hadn't really thought about that change for the -1 damage. So then talk to me about prep for Worlds. Right? Because not Worlds. Oh God, why can I not? Six Nations.
Six Nations.
Because I've got Worlds in my head. Like all my brain is WTC and Worlds. That's all my brain does every day now. It's like, Rob, what do you need to do?
Yeah.
Six Nations, which you were just at, which was, if you guys weren't aware, an international team event with 8. You made it onto the Swedish team, obviously.
Yep.
How was the selection process? How's the selection process done in Sweden?
Well, it has really just been the captain. So every year, like the departing team picks a captain, and then for the next year, that captain selects a team.
Okay.
That's pretty much how it's been done. I think for Worlds, we're going to be doing a bit more of like a committee selection process, something like that. So there's actually a few people, like one person from every part of the country, more or less, involved in it, just to make sure people get a bit more representation, I think. Mainly because there's generally been like a lot of people from Stockholm region and from Malmö, and then maybe they kind of glossed over some other people from other parts of the country because that's who they knew the best, kind of thing.
Yeah, you're always ignoring Ume, right? Always ignoring him.
Always ignoring him. So now I think we're kind of where we need to be with that too, because it's still a small country, so we can't have like too complex systems in place for that and rankings and things like that. As in for 40K they do rankings, like ITC stuff, I think.
Okay, yeah.
But I think we like many of us feel that it could be just become a bit too toxic and elitist and kind of like the 40K community tends to become sometimes.
I don't think ITC rankings. I think it's a good idea but I think maybe it's not necessarily the most effective way to help people understand stuff.
Exactly, and it also doesn't take into account like how well a certain player plays a certain army, and in what constellation and what do we need from that player and so on and so forth. So there's a lot more to it, and I think it's much better to look at the player as a whole person than just as a statistic.
Yes. Agreed. I think that's one of the bits of feedback I get a lot from. Obviously, not having been in an international team, but one of the things I hear from a lot of the team players and even committee members is that it's not just how well they perform on the tabletop, which leads me into I don't want you to give too many secrets away, but prep for Team Sweden. Did you have to? Was there any sort of? Was there like were they like, okay, we know that you're going to play Daughters of Cain, but we need you to build more of this, and that, or was it just bring what you like? How did it work?
We kind of had a little bit of issues getting the team together because we had some people who had to drop out and so on, and it came a bit too close to Worlds. So it wasn't optimal. So we kind of got a bit delayed, and we didn't get to do too much prep. We did some prep, definitely, and we had the captain and our coach and a couple of people actually helping out crunch some numbers, and we did some some matchmaking and stuff like that. When it came to myself, I think they just let me play my list the way I do because we needed to have something to throw out there, just more of a sponge. That was my job, was to be a sponge.
And just to take whatever came at you.
Yeah, and take whatever we don't want to spill over to give us worse matchups. So I didn't have like a single green matchup. I think it's just the yellow matchups, and that's what I played, yellow and orange. But that's fine. I mean.
I heard from Owen, who's in the chat, organizer of Six Nations. He says that Sweden have a pairings app.
Yeah. So we did have a app, but yeah.
Well, there was at least 2 electronic ways. By the way, for people at home, the 2 teams of 8, when they decide who's going to play who, a coach and normally 2 people, they put cards in what's called an attacker-defender system, which you see at all team events. Liara, obviously, I know you know this. Explain to people at home. And that's normally done. I mean, normally there's someone with an Excel spreadsheet, but at least 2 electronic versions. I think Scotland were using Listbot. With JP, and Sweden was using a pairings app, which is pretty amazing. I think the Republic of Ireland were using Luck. Basically, I think that was their system.
Yeah, that's how see how that went for them.
Wow. Okay. Okay. So talk to me about Six Nations. What was the experience like? I want to hear everything. Just give me who you played, how it went.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I loved it. So first of all, like the first game I played Darren Watson, and he's an amazing person. We just had a lot of fun, and we played rules wrong apparently. So he hid his salamanders in the forest, and apparently they weren't wildwoods, so I could shoot them, but I didn't because we thought I couldn't. Anyway, so that kind of like turned the things around, and then he had his prime really soaked a lot of damage with his 4-up board. He was really lucky with that part. So it was kind of a tight game, but then with the swing of his salamanders not being dead helped him.
If you can't take them down, then it's all over, right?
Yeah. I mean, they didn't too much. They charged into my bows and didn't do very much. Like once they charged, but they had already shot a lot. So things like that.
Darren,
but it was
fun
really
to play, especially after hearing about him on the internet for all these years.
Yeah, he's a lot of fun. He's a really fun person, great person. So I'm glad to be in contact with him.
But you also wanted to beat him. Come on, let's be real. Yeah, he's a scalp, right? Everyone there are people's scalps. Like
next time, I'll play him again.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
That's why I can't have any chill tournament games anymore. Like I'm like, oh hi, nice to meet you, and then people are like, I get to try and beat Rob. Fucking yes, let's go. Yeah. People are so excited. You can't have chill games. I get it. Yeah, I get it. You're a hunter out to take scalps.
Yeah. But I'm all for the chill game. I mean, it's much more about a social thing than going around winning things. That's not.
Sure.
I just happen to win them. That's.
Okay. What is the? Who did you play next?
And then we played. That was the second game was Northern Ireland, I believe.
Okay, nice. Who did you get to play from? My favorite team.
So that was the Caradron. So it was Dave.
Dave Kane. What a legend.
Yeah. He cheated, by the way.
Jesus Christ.
I realized later. Oh, he cheated so bad. That's why I lost that game. So when I thought about it later on, I should have won that game.
Dave, shots
he
fired.
Cheated
what did he do?
In so many ways. So first of all, he told me that the he told me that the units inside the boats counted towards objectives.
Okay.
Which they don't. They have a special rule for that. So we played as though he held my objectives with his boats.
Oh dear.
Yeah, okay. And then he removed the prime objective in turn 3.
Okay. Did you talk to the TOs about it? I'm not sure.
No, I didn't realize that until afterwards. So
okay.
I was like, okay, fuck it, whatever. But if I would have gotten that game, we'd probably get the 3rd place rather than Northern Ireland.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll try and get that confirmed, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Maybe I don't know for sure, but it was like I know there wasn't a lot of points difference between us. So.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was a bit like when I was like kicking myself later on for not realizing what was going on there.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's also why I did a bit of crazy plays in that game, because I was going like operating under the assumption that I didn't hold the objectives rather than that I did hold the objectives.
Okay, good. All right, excellent. Yeah, because we recorded that game.
I know.
Yeah, we streamed that game.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys can watch that back on the T Sports Network if you guys want.
Awesome.
Okay, who was your third round? Cheat number
Scotland.
3.
I believe.
Who?
Scotland.
Okay,
yeah.
Nice.
So for Scotland, I played the 45 bow snakes. Yeah.
Oh, who was playing that for Scotland?
I'm terrible with names. It was the guy with long white hair. What's his name?
Do you know his name? I do know his name. I know
Lee. Yeah, Lee. Exactly.
I know exactly what he looks like. Yeah, he's great.
Thank you, OJ. So yeah, also really fun game, Black Chap. And it was some cheater probably. Yeah, I don't know why I'd have to go to Six Nations and everyone just cheats. I don't get it. What's going on? No, he actually didn't cheat. So and that's why I won the game.
Oh, okay. Okay.
No, I'm just yeah, I talk for people. It's really just a book of grudges here, right?
Sounds it. You should play dwarfs.
No, so that was a fun game. It was very much a game of psychology, I think, because he made me go first, and I really just because I outranged his bow snakes, so I just took a very defensive stance. He made me go first because this was the vice. I just had to stay back, So I just held my ground there, stayed there, did pretty much nothing for my first round. And then he got his turn. He kind of positioned himself a little bit, but didn't, of course, get to do anything. And then for the next initiative, I won it and gave him a double. So he could like get in with one unit and shoot a bit. He barely did a lot. He did take out like some of my witch elves, not even all of them, and like did a few wounds on my cauldron of blood. That was about it.
Okay.
And then I got my double.
Then you got your double.
Yeah. And that pretty much sealed it. So that's pretty much what happened. I managed to just claim the middle and get Morathi in there, get my bow snakes in there, and then it was just a shootout. And I guess I won.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Yeah. Good. Scottish team fun to play against.
Yeah. Sure, definitely.
Nice.
I think all teams were great to play against.
Okay, fantastic.
I didn't have a bad game at all.
Didn't have a bad game at all. Okay, good.
No.
And then definitely. Saturday night, one of your team members unfortunately wasn't able to make it to the second day.
Yeah, food poisoning apparently.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I call 12 whiskeys. I call it food poisoning.
I think he. Oh yeah, definitely OJ, definitely. Morathi beats just the bow snakes. At least if you play Hagnar, No, but yeah. So he got sick, so our coach had to step in and play his Archeon list, which he had no experience doing. So that didn't go amazingly, but well, at least he got to play a little bit. So then we played Ireland in the morning.
The Republic of.
Yes, the Republic. And I got to play
one of your fellow Europeans.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to play Mick Wendell.
Yeah.
Legend. What a great experience that must have been.
And he was playing 60 or maybe it was just 50 horrors, I think. Pink horrors. Maybe. Yeah, pink horrors.
Not that fun. To be fair, he played that at last Six Nations as well.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Sure.
Yeah.
And he was playing Eternal Conflagration, I believe.
He was. The only non-hosted Plistus.
Yeah. And it was kind of fun just seeing him throw his 30 horrors into my big block of stuff, pointy things, and being kind of wiped out very quickly. And then I sniped Kairos, and then the game was pretty much over.
Oh.
But I did get to charge my bow snakes into his hover.
You did?
So don't worry about it. Yeah, of course.
Oh,
I did.
nice. Okay, great.
And then the last game against Wales was against Teclis. Teclis, and I think that's like the one thing my list has the hardest against is Teclis.
And were you playing against Matt the Shuffler Goldsborough?
Yeah.
Okay, nice. Yeah, that's his name, the Shuffler. And he had the Sentinel. He had the Sentinels as well, right?
Yeah. And I think he got like the roll off that he needed, like the initiative roll off that settled everything. It was kind of like he won that, and that was it. So we all came down to.
Owen's talking about. Can we talk about bow snakes in a siege tower? Can you talk to me about what that means?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that happened. I put bow snakes in a siege tower.
in a siege tower, and then what? Just shot out of that for the whole game.
Yeah, that's where they lived.
Oh, nice.
They settled.
Nice. Okay, good.
That's where. It was fun. That was a lot of fun.
So overall, would you like to go to other international team events? And how did you find the experience compared to playing in a singles environment?
I love team games. It's a lot of fun because you also get more variety, and there's like more limitations, and there's more kind of a strategy in facing things that makes it less random than a singles would be.
Okay.
Which is fun, and it's also like a whole new experience, and it's a very fun way of playing. I've only been to one team tournament before, and that was in Sweden, and we were 4-player teams, and that was a lot of fun too.
Do you think it's a question of they're different, so it's not fair to compare them, or do you think it's a case of it's a preferred, like, because everyone only has, most people do this obviously for a hobby, so you've only got so many weekends in a year, like let's say you had 10 and you could choose, would you divide it into having 10 team events or 5 and 5, or like, you know, how would you kind of break it up?
I do like the team events a lot more. They do require more energy as well, so it's really down to how bothered you can be in that sense. Singles tend to be a bit more chill, and especially if you don't try to go for the top, you can just have fun, roll some dice, play some fun games, learn stuff. So I do think kind of like a balance between them, but the team the team tournaments are a lot of fun, and I do like them better, definitely.
Okay, so out of 10, how many would you choose to be teams, do you reckon?
Maybe 7.
Okay.
7, 8, something like that.
Wow,
yeah.
so
it's fun to have some singles too.
Of course. And if you just let
But
someone else do the pairings, then that's a lot more easy.
Exactly. No, but I did like try to look at the pairings as well and so on. But I haven't played like or captained any teams or anything before, so I don't have the experience of pairing very much. But I was like kind of getting into it a bit when we were discussing everything. What I do feel that I want to see more of though is tag tournaments, because tag is a lot of fun.
You mean doubles, like two?
Yeah, doubles. Exactly. Doubles.
Like 1,000 points each, doubles.
Yeah. So we're going to start having a little bit of that now, going here in Sweden. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I think that's going to be very fun.
Okay. All right, rad. So coming up to Worlds, or going up to Worlds, and I guess like another part of the conversation, thank you also to Iron Gutsman, one of my favourite Warhammer players ever, in the chat for resubbing. How are you going to how do you normally prep for tournaments anyway, or do you do any prep? And then, so I'll ask that first. Is there like, do you just play lots? Do you read lots? Is there a blog you're a fan of? Is there a podcast you like? Like, where do you go for your hot info? How do you prep?
What is prep? I've never heard of it.
Okay, so no prep.
I don't prep. That's not me.
Okay, so like Darren, that, no prep.
Yeah, I don't prep. like a lot of the times I've like played tournaments and so on, it's been like, oh, this is the first time I'm playing this army. This will be fun.
Okay.
And it goes pretty well.
Sounds like that was also true at Six Nations.
Yeah. There wasn't a lot of prep for Six Nations, like personally. I really just go by instinct, and I do see that. I mean, I would get better with practice, definitely. I think I'm just. The thing is also I don't want to be too competitive with my friends, because that kind of like fouls up the mood a bit. So I have to like we have to do it together and kind of like really, okay, let's go competitive now. And of course, there hasn't been like my main time of being highly competitive has been like this past year or so, or year or two. So that has been an environment where you can't really go out and play a lot. So that's kind of like that's kind of like the main issue has been, of course, that I haven't had the opportunity very much to go out and practice.
Yeah, so maybe that'll change. Obviously, like I think that's a hard question, and I apologise about that during this time period. Okay, finally, final kind of question. Well, there's going to be two. First one is prep for Worlds. Pretty exciting. Do you think you would like to make the team, and how do you rate Sweden's chances? And thank you to 69 Preps 420 for donating £1.69 to the gang. How would you like to prepare, do you think?
I'd like to do a lot more practicing, and what we've said about like for future situations is to try to have more dedicated, like maybe a weekend or so where we get together and play and really try to do some more Warhammer and things like that.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of like we're nerds always, so we will have the ability to really get into it a lot. So I think we just need to have that time set aside and to make it work. It's also because if we're spread out all across the country, it's very much just online and things like that.
Okay. All right. So we're going to take some questions from the chat now, if that's okay with you. So it's time for the chat to ask questions.
I just wanted to answer the other one,
sure.
which was that, yes, I'd love to make the team. I haven't yet, so we'll see.
Ooh, okay. That's good. I think that becomes... I think what's really interesting for me is because I like to think of myself as independent media. So like I'm not really in any way committed to any national team. And I don't really want to get onto a national team. Like, it's not because I don't think it's worthwhile. It's just like I need to position myself as being like independent of fair. So I get to talk to a lot of different people, and it's really exciting to hear like all the different like what's happening in America and their process. What's Sweden, like England, Scotland. Like I don't hear much about the Scottish one actually. I'd like to talk to them more. Like Ireland, like Australia. Like it's fun. Like hearing all the little gossip and the rumours. So it's really fun to see that. Okay, so I've got some questions coming for you in the chat. If that's good for you. If that's okay. How many tournaments do you get to attend? This is from OJ.
Yeah. So I would say as many as don't like kind of clash with other things, but I'd say somewhere between 5 and 10 at least.
Okay, all right, that's pretty good.
Year,
that's pretty good.
Say.
Not Owen Jackson 13 in 3 weeks.
No.
Okay, I don't think it.
I think it's really just down to now we're really getting into having much more tournaments, and like the last one I was TO, so I couldn't play, so things like that. But now we're trying to get a lot more going, and we have more people in Malmö organizing tournaments, and we're trying to get like several TOs for our tournament, so we can all be playing TOs and things like that. So I think there will be quite a few more tournaments coming up now.
Okay. Some more questions. This is from Dad Poet Society, who's new. So big shout out to him or them. Sorry. Do you recommend a deep dive into one army or a broad investigation into multiple armies?
I mean, I love a lot of different armies.
Okay.
That were like knowing things, and me myself, I kind of like memorized most war scrolls pretty quickly, and stats and so on.
Okay.
So I think, yeah, exactly. Knowing KO rules is quite useful. And here's the worst part. I used to have a KO army.
Did you?
But I totally forgot the rules. And yes, I do own Cursed City because it's right here.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
We've had another question,
Yeah.
and that is AOS or 40k? It seems like you might also be a 40k player.
Yeah, I have some Eldar and Wraith Knights back here that don't get to play because they're not Inari. So that's my faction in 40k, Inari.
Okay.
There have been some rumors that there's a book coming up, and there's a lot of cool stuff coming. And if just a fraction of it is true, then I'd be so happy. I just want to be able to play.
Apparently, it's meant to be. The words I've heard are that it's giga broken. So if that makes you feel good. Yeah, good.
That's good. That sounds about right.
Good.
I want it to be so broken that nobody wants to look me in the eye.
Oh boy.
I mean, going 2 for 2, I guess I'll have to be the 40k champion as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Exciting. What are Liara's top 3 changes for AOS in the upcoming balance update?
I don't know. Mainly, I'd want sentinels to go up in points. I'd want stuff that isn't played as much to go down in points. And I think maybe like look at some of the battle plans. Try to like maybe fix those a bit. But that's in general. That maybe do something about Life Swarm, because I think Life Swarm is a bit too good.
Okay, Life Swarm's a bit too good. Interesting.
Yeah, because of the double activation.
Yes, I would like to see that. Yeah, proxy. Ping once. That would be really, really good.
Yeah, ping once rather than 2.
Yeah, that would be super good. And I think that's. And finally, who else do you think should make it onto the Swedish team? That's last one from Call Me Quinn.
Oh, but we have so many good players. I love all of them.
Okay, you're gonna have to pick some. Who's some stars? Who are the stars in Sweden other than you?
Yeah, so the stars are. I mean, we have ourselves our in Skåne we have a lot of good players. Adam and Alex and Dennis is one of the players there. Samuel is really good at it. Then of course in Stockholm, I don't know all the people there, but I know that the people who tend to show up are very good players there too, like Jesper and all his friends. In Umeå, we have a couple of players too. One of them is an upcoming player. Is Ronja. She's an old War Machine veteran.
Mm-hmm.
In like playing on the highest level there. So we have a lot of good players, and everyone is like really nice, and I just love all of them. So I'm just happy to be on any team with anyone.
Oh, lovely. That's lovely.
Yeah.
Okay, there's another question apparently I need to ask before we go, which was, how do you pronounce Ikea in Swedish? Apparently it's not what I think.
Yeah. It's Ikea.
Ikea?
Ikea, yeah.
Wrong. That's wrong. That's
Ikea. Yeah, Ikea.
Ikea. Wow, that's blown my mind. Okay, well, Liara, it's been. I tell you what, it's been fascinating having you on the show.
It was awesome.
I've really appreciated that. The chat have loved it. Awesome. Thank you very much for being on. Hopefully, we'll see you at Worlds. Oh yeah, go for it.
Can I do a single plug?
I would like you to. I was about to ask. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. So my friend Eric and I, who might be in the chat even because he asked me if I'm coming to Uppsala, and I do want to. We actually have a podcast. We haven't been doing episodes for a while, but we are going to start it up again, hopefully. Okay. And it's called Realmbound. It's a kind of a lore podcast, but more of an anthropological kind of approach to it.
What?
where we kind of discuss the life of people like living in the mortal realms and what it's like to live there, and kind of like the structures and so on. So it's a lot more about like from the bottom up. We have a lot of fun doing it.
So it's like you're in the realm of fire, there are volcanoes going off everywhere. What's it like to be a baker in that realm?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's kind of the approach, and I think we got a bit. Maybe Eric can link that podcast. We are on Spotify, I believe.
So it's called Realm Bound.
Realm Bound, I believe it's called.
Okay,
yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
So
is it in English or in Swedish?
It is in English, of course. It is in English.
Okay.
Definitely.
All right. Good.
Yeah. So I think we got kind of like inspired when we started playing a bit of the role-playing game, Soulbound.
Oh, that's super fun.
So,
that's really good. I like that because I often am like whenever you see like a picture of a king or something, I'm like, I wonder what it's like to be the guy that sweeps up around there.
Yeah,
that's difficult.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
So we have a lot of fun.
Yeah. Okay. Amazing. Thank you. That makes me really happy. That's giving me something fun to listen to. So thanks to Liara for being on the show. I'll include a link to her socials down below, or where she feels comfortable for you guys to reach out and talk to her. It's been lovely talking to you. Also, I'll put a link to the podcast as well. We've done the shout outs. That's what I normally say, any shout outs. So thanks for being on. It's been lovely.
Of course. Thank you.
Twitch chat. Well, I was going to say goodbye. Thank you, everyone who watches back as a podcast.
Thank you very much, Twitch chat.
Yeah, goodbye. Goodbye. If you are wanting to see me live later today on Twitch, I will be back in maybe about 40 minutes, so about 2 p.m. And we'll be live for a little bit longer today, so we'll do some more shows. I'm just going to take a small break, clean some stuff up. Thanks, Liara. So thanks, everyone. We'll be back later today, so click all the notification buttons that you need. Winter FAQ is not out yet. I wish it was. Soon. But loads of love. Thanks, Liara, again, and see you guys soon. Bye.